Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending our Off-the-Shelf Cables Can't Compete with Custom Cable Assemblies webinar. My name is Danielle Correa, and I am the Customer Marketing Manager here at Epec. Before we get started, I just want to let you all know that you will be muted during the presentation. If you have any questions as we move along, please enter them into the questions panel located in the webinar control panel, and we will try to get to them all at the end of the presentation. If we don't have time to go through all of your questions, we will be sure to reply back to you by email. Also, we will be recording this webinar and we'll be posting both the recording and the slides on our website and YouTube channel. If you visit epectech.com/webinar, you can also access our entire archive of webinars and view our upcoming webinars. Our presenter today is Stephen Goodman, our User Interface and Cable Assembly Product Manager. Stephen is a mechanical engineer with a BS and an MBA, both from Northeastern. Most recently, he was running a startup manufacturer's representative firm serving the aerospace, defense, and industrial markets. Prior to that, Stephen spent more than 7 years as a product manager in the aerospace industry, working with customers to develop new products and to meet their ever-changing design requirements. As the User Interface and Cable Assembly Product Manager here at Epec, Stephen works with customers to provide solutions to specific problems through design consultation and, where needed, the creation of a specific design. Additionally, Stephen is responsible for the overall effectiveness of the quote process and resultant business success. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Stephen.
Thank you, Danielle. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Goodman. I'm one of the product managers here with Epec Engineered Technologies. This afternoon, we'll talk a little bit about how off-the-shelf cables can't compete with custom cable assemblies. So first, we'll talk about when is an appropriate time to use an off-the-shelf cable. If you do decide to go with a custom, or if you decide that a custom cable is necessary, we'll focus on some of the many benefits of using a custom cable assembly. Then we'll talk about how to get your custom build started. So first, when to use an off-the-shelf cable. So if your design can support using a one-size-fits-all type of cable, really it's probably a good idea. If you've been to the Mausers or DigiKeys of the world, there are thousands of existing cable designs readily available in stock. Other websites like Cables to Go are a great resource if you know you need a 3-foot or a 6-foot USB cable. So there's a number of benefits to using an off-the-shelf cable. However, if you know you need 10,000 pieces of a certain cable design, it may not be practical to search for an off-the-shelf solution, and a custom cable may actually be more cost competitive. Another key to decide when to use an off-the-shelf cable is to be able to assess real-time stock availability. If you're at the proof of concept stage of your development project and you need 3 cables for fit checks or some benchtop testing, that may be a good idea. However, if you know this needs to be a mill-qualified piece of hardware where you need a certificate of conformance and you're performing some type of AS9102 inspection, an off-the-shelf cable may not be able to solve all your design objectives. So, next we'll talk a little bit about some of the risks using an off-the-shelf cable. As I said before, a lot of the off-the-shelf solutions are a one-size-fits-all. They come in standard lengths, standard colors, standard configurations of connectors, etc. So you may actually be settling for a cable that's not really a solution. So the first concern is performance. Is the off-the-shelf cable you're looking at adequately EMI shielded? Does that cable you're looking to spec in, is that able to transfer 10 gigabits of information per second like your requirement? Another major concern is the ruggedization and robustness of your cable design. These standard offerings are usually only available in select configurations with zero flexibility and ability to move to different lengths, colors, etc. Another major risk is end of life or obsolescence. If you spec in a specialty SATA cable, for example, and there's only a year's worth of supply, you're going to have a lot of challenges fulfilling your 10 to 15 year horizon for that cable assembly. Next, we'll talk about some of the benefits of using a custom cable assembly. So first and foremost, it's the complete customization of all aspects of your cable. In theory, you can incorporate all of those nice-to-have and must-have requirements in your project. For example, if you need specialty wire size for different legs of your conductors, that can be incorporated in a custom cable build. For each of those conductors, you can select between standard jacket colors or even tool up and create your own custom jacket that matches a certain marketing branded Pantone color for your company. Another benefit is to design the shielding methodology for your application. In addition to just the cable itself, many of these custom cables incorporate some type of custom overmolding. Generally, the overmolding serves as a way to ruggedize or add some type of strain relief for your connector. But an overmolded region can also do a number of other things, such as you can add logos or text if you're able to supply us with an artwork file. You have the ability to retool or rework an existing mold. So once you get into development and you figure out your connector is too big to fit through a certain bulkhead, we can go and rework the tool to make that device work. Another benefit to using a custom cable assembly is the ability to incorporate an IP rating into your cable assembly, or even more, a mil standard 461 type of shielding. You can also mitigate corrosion by incorporating specialty materials into the contacts, for example. The cable photo here on the right includes a fungicide mixed into a custom extruded wire jacket. That application was for a marine environment where we developed a specialty compound and actually did coupon testing to evaluate its performance in a damp, moist, dark environment so that it wouldn't promote mold growth. Other benefits of using a custom cable assembly are the ability to incorporate a variety of passive components into your device. For example, normally open tactile switches, momentary switches, sensors, thermistors, PCBAs, anything that can be encapsulated or overmolded, we can usually add to a custom cable assembly. Other benefits of using a custom cable assembly include the ability to consolidate multiple part numbers into one design. We can get rid of daisy-chained assemblies where you're taking half a dozen off-the-shelf cables that are all wired together and create one consolidated design, exactly the way you need for your application. If you know you need an Ethernet cable, stereo audio, and some type of power, we can create a hybrid cable assembly incorporating multiple legs of the design into one single part number. If you know of a risky connector, we can actually develop our own custom connector for your build. By using SolidWorks or some other 3D modeling software, we can create the exact three-dimensional definition of a custom overmold or connector for your application. The benefits are numerous, but the best benefit of using this type of connector technology is a complete design of the pin engagement methodology and also the ability to add specialty coatings and materials to your connector. We can even add polarity markings at one end of your connector to help with the ease of assembly. Most important benefit of using a custom connector in your build is by owning the tooling, your end of life or obsolescence risk can be mitigated. Another benefit is the ability to utilize our vast portfolio of equivalent components. So these devices are form, fit, and function equivalent devices that are used in our custom cable assemblies, usually connector housings, contacts, pins, etc. The best part of using this type of device in your cable assembly is that you can mitigate some of the long lead times by specialty devices and also realize a cost savings. Before you consider the use of a substitute component, it's important to understand what the qualification and certification requirements are. For some designs, you must use the drawing specified connector, where either you or your customer has design authority and the flexibility to move toward more of a substitute component. Here at Epec, we need to know a number of considerations such as pin count, pin pitch, pin size, polarization or locking features, what the flammability rating would be of those materials, etc., to be able to offer an equivalent form, fit, or function connector or contact. Next, if your custom cable assembly has a unique requirement where it's used, we can incorporate any number of tests or special processes in your build plan. For example, if your customer requires 100% screening of your cable for some type of leak event, we can add that to our build plan and perform 100% leak testing as long as we understand the operating environment and how the cable is attached or installed into the end device. For this type of setting, we typically try to work with our customers to either build or be supplied some type of fixture and work together to develop the appropriate procedure. In addition to leak testing, we can also perform any number of electrical tests, whether it's at 100% screening or some to be determined AQL level. That includes even doing a radiated emission sweep on some parts, a high pot testing, or something as simple as just continuity. In addition, there's a number of mechanical tests that we can incorporate in our build plan, like pull testing, bend testing, or any other type of conditioning test to make sure that there's an appropriate bond between the overmold and the jacket of your cable. If you or your customer have a specialized acceptance test procedure or a burn-in requirement, we can also add those to the build plan. All of these steps and processes in our custom cable build plan can help provide value to you, our customer, by offering a complete solution that meets all of your design objectives. Next, we'll talk about what to do to get started with your custom build. First thing would be to go to our website, which is www.epectech.com/cable-assemblies. From there, we welcome you to review our website, download ebooks, whatever information is applicable to your product. The next step is to better understand you, the customer, what your must-have and nice-to-have requirements are. Also, we need to have a complete understanding of what your application is, where it will be used, how many parts you're looking to build, etc. Once you have a lot of that information together, our engineering team here at Epec can help convert a napkin sketch into a full-blown qualified design. As mentioned before, we use SolidWorks as a three-dimensional modeling tool. So if you have a rough idea of a overmold or a breakout section of your cable, if you give us a high-level overview of what you're trying to accomplish, we can fill in the gaps in between, bringing a fully manufacturable design to market. Another key takeaway before you get started is it's important not to reinvent the wheel. And what we mean by that is there are countless existing standard connectors and wire specs that are already in use and in production. And anywhere we can lean on an existing technology and existing build, it just means we can get you to market faster for less money with less risk. If you know you need a specialty connector, this may not be appropriate. However, if you're looking at a USB or an RJ45 type connector, you can save time and money by utilizing one of the existing house tools we have to overmold that device, compared to going through and spending what could be weeks or thousands of dollars to create a similar but custom overmold tool. The same is true for our bulk wire. We have in stock dozens and dozens of existing UL spec wire. This again can help save time and money and get you to market faster compared to speccing in a specialty wire that may be overkill for your application. So again, before engaging with Epec, it's important to truly understand a number of the programmatics for your project. First, do you have a budget? What's your timeline? If you need parts in 2 weeks and your design needs a custom overmold, that will be tough to pull off. That may be a scenario where if there's an off-the-shelf solution that meets 50 to 75% of your design objectives, that may be good for prototypes and cover your development needs while you tool up and qualify a new cable design. As mentioned before, it's also equally important to understand who has the design authority and what the qualification requirements are, because all of these things here can have a tremendous impact on the design options that we can use to solve your problems. Next, we want to talk a little bit about the steps we go through to bring your product to market. The first step is to understand what you're trying to accomplish. If you know you need 2 specialty connectors, you're not sure how you're going to wire them or how you're going to package them, the first step is to create a functional prototype. And we can help with that, but a lot of times what happens is as you go through the prototype, through some preliminary concept, your design will evolve. And with it, the timeline and costs required to get all the functionality, all those must-have and nice-to-have requirements into your build plan. So once we arrive at a preliminary concept, we'll use 3-dimensional CAD software to develop some kind of initial design. And then from there, we'll use that step model to create our tooling to create the overmold for your custom design. Another benefit of using a custom cable assembly is if you have a design and you test it and it does not meet all of your design objectives, working with a supplier like Epec with both the manufacturing and engineering expertise, we can help create a plan to address or mitigate whatever design challenges you have. For example, this cable here had failed a leak test, which involved a positive pressure on one side of a bulkhead passing through where the jacketed wires bonded to the overmold material. And to solve this, we had a modification of the tool and a secondary processing step that allowed us to meet our customers' design requirements. So, in summary, you can use an off-the-shelf cable, but usually it's got to be for the right projects. We're encouraging you here, don't settle for an inferior cable. Work with Epec to get all of those nice-to-have and must-have design requirements into your design. And last and most important, engage Epec early. Review our website, download some of the information there. There's a tremendous amount of literature specific to cable assemblies and some of our other products. And with that said, Danielle is going to talk a little bit about our other products here at Epec.
Thank you, Stephen. Just as a reminder, in addition to cable assemblies, we offer a wide variety of products, including battery packs, flex and rigid flex, PCBs, RF products, user interfaces, fans and motors, and our latest product addition, flex heaters. And you can learn more about these products on epectech.com. We are going to go over the questions that came in. Remember, if time doesn't permit us to answer your question, we will reach out to you by email. So Stephen, the first question that we had come in says, can you seal the cable internals, for example, with a Henkel vacuum impregnation process to prevent breathing?
Can you seal the cable internal? So it sounds like the question is specific to our overmolding process. We can offer IP67 and even IP68 certified designs as long as we understand your design objectives and how it will be used. We can certainly take a look at something like that.
All right, thank you. Next question. Can you explain how you go about making a custom connector and how much that would cost?
Absolutely. The joke here is my response is usually it depends, but we absolutely can make it. It just depends on how much it would cost. As a rule of thumb, we have some custom connectors that we've developed that cost in the order of $1,000 to $2,000. We have some other custom connectors where the NRE was approaching $50,000 to $60,000. And really the driving factor there is the number of tools and the complexity. It's also the pin count. So for example, if you just have two 16 to 20 gauge wires coming in and standard type contacts, that's really a low complexity design. Whereas if you needed a 20 to 30 pin connector that's going to be IP68 rated and also develop the mating connector, that could have anywhere from half a dozen or more tools, separate tools that are required. So the best way to start the process is get in touch with our sales staff and be happy to answer any other questions there.
Okay, so we have another question here. Are all of your cables UL rated?
So that's a great question. Sometimes there's some confusion there. Our bulk wire carries a UL designation. The individual cable assembly that we produce by itself does not have a UL designation. And what I mean by that is there's a number of product safety requirements that exist. Generally speaking, that's something we can support. We actually do a lot of the product safety certification with our sister division, our battery division. But generally speaking, the cables that we produce, that's not applicable. But we can certainly help point you in the right direction or give you whatever information is needed to get the appropriate product safety certification that you'd need.
Okay, so we don't have a ton of time left, so we're going to just do one more question here, and then again, we will get back to you by email if we did not get to your question. So Steve, the last question is, if we were able to get you a sample of a cable we're using, can you help quote this?
Yes, as long as the cable is in a form that we can either damage or destroy it. A lot of the investigation we would perform to look at the conductor definition, the contacts, it may be destructive. As long as that's not an issue, we can definitely do that.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Stephen. And again, to all of you that have attended, we will be sending out an email with our slide deck and the video as soon as it is available. Thank you, Stephen.